brothers and sisters in Christ, the scope of this story, and thus by extension our faith, is not limited to churchly or religious realms. I think one of the trends I see in our society growing even more and more prevalent is that we try and limit the scope of things to certain areas, like government can do these things, schools can do these things, churches can do these things, and markets can do these things, and clubs can do these things. But Jesus isn't hanging out in the church in these stories, is he? He's out walking around on the streets, and in the end, people are showing up in marketplaces, disrupting the trade of goods and services so he can heal them. He's busting all these nice, tight little barriers of scopes of influence and places that we live. And the story starts out, well, in the middle of it, he has compassion because he sees the people like sheep without a shepherd. It's a common phrase that you can find in the Old Testament, and usually it refers to bad leaders. The king was bad, so the people were like sheep without a shepherd, because kings are great shepherds, right? The story that leads right into this one is what we read last week, where Herod cuts off John the Baptist's head. Jesus is set up in contrast to Herod. The king, frankly, is terrible. You can't depend on Herod for anything, except if you want to lose 10 pounds. But Jesus has compassion on them, goes out to where people are. Herod was throwing a feast for all the other well-to-do folk. But Jesus is out where people are hurting. And we had a big gap in our story. We skipped from verse 34 to 53. In there, Jesus feeds people. We'll get to that for the next few weeks, though. I'm not going to start talking about bread. We'll have enough of that in August. Jesus is a good shepherd. A shepherd that goes out and has compassion. Not limited to the synagogue, where we are. Think what that might mean for us today is that where our hope needs to be is in God and in the promises God makes to us and the world God promises to bring into being. Our ultimate hope isn't going to work out if it's in bankers or politicians or government programs. I've probably said this, 100 times in the past year. But here, we're doing something different than we're bombarded with on TV, the newspaper, everywhere we go. Everything is politicized these days, and everything is so divisive. So are we here to rest and retreat from that? Do we come to church because this is the one place where we don't have to be divided, where we don't have to fight about this law or that policy or this official? I really wanted the text this week to be about resting. Jesus starts off by saying, hey, let's go somewhere and rest. Because I think we need that. I hammer on this idea of, going out and doing God's work all the time, trying to get us to change our communities. And I thought, hey, maybe here's a chance for me to say, all right, take a break. Take some rest. But even Jesus' good intention of giving his disciples a chance to have a leisurely meal is disrupted by the need of the world. I don't think that we're gathered here in church to retreat or hide from the world. And I don't think that we're here just to maybe convince ourselves that peace and unity is possible, where we can come and sit close to people who we might avoid the rest of the week, where we can, be kind of near and pass the peace with, I know you all like each other, where we can pass the peace with folks that maybe we don't really want to have peace with. This isn't just some sort of dream or tomfoolery that we're doing. We come here to practice. We come here to shake hands with folks that maybe we disagree with, folks that voted for the other guy. Place to realize that whatever divides us doesn't matter. Paul goes at it in this idea of citizenry and circumcision, things that divide us. But he says, ultimately, none of that matters. Because in Christ, we are all united. Christ, who came in the same flesh we live in, broke down those barriers as in drawing us in to be one. One in the body of Christ. So whatever divides us just doesn't matter. Because Jesus is so much bigger than that and can't be divided up into categories or different spots in our life. This Christianity thing breaks down those barriers, breaks down all those different parts of our lives, and makes our lives one. We don't have to divide our priorities between all sorts of different things. When Christ is the priority, our whole life becomes a single thing. We no longer have to say, well, I got to give attention to this, and attention to that, and attention to that, and attention to that, and now I have a 50-hour day and only 12 hours to do it. There's just one day, one priority, one purpose in our lives and our relationships. And that purpose is peace and unity and healing and feeding. And yes, sometimes it's rest. God makes a Sabbath day for resting. And if Jesus couldn't find time to rest, surely we're accorded some time to rest. So find some rest. Find healing. But ultimately, I hope when you come here, when you taste this bread and wine with all your brothers and sisters, that maybe we come near and even touch just the cloak of Christ. And in that encounter, find something that disrupts all these barriers and divisions and segmentation of our lives and brings us into one. One as brothers and sisters in Christ, and one in our own lives, so that we are a new creation, changing and healing the world, creating compassion and civility in a world that likes to fight far too much.